Unsolved Mysteries of Romania. But first, thank you Ronnie Pierce for leaving us this comment on our 18 awesome military paint jobs video. Number 10. The Witch's Pond. According to legend, the Witch's Pond in Romania is located deep within a wooded forest and is the supposed location of where Vlad the Impaler was beheaded. Sounds like somewhere you may want to avoid. The pond was reportedly filled with debris in order to destroy it, but within weeks, the pond no longer had debris within its waters. According to legend, women who had unwanted pregnancies would swim here, and it would supposedly induce a miscarriage. There have been no reports of frogs or any wildlife living here. Animals won't even drink from this as a water source. It's also a famous place for gypsy witches who gather along its banks and conduct black magic. Number 9. The Sunken Village. The abandoned town of Giamana in Romania was a charming town until 1978. A huge copper deposit was found nearby, and a dam was constructed in order to give more power to the area. All you can see here is a tower of the church that was built, and the orange slime that's consumed the area. Some claim that not everyone was notified in time, and there could still be remains of people under the lake. Number 8. The Sibiu rocket launch. It seems as though Romania is a country shrouded in mystery. We might all seem to think that it wasn't until the 20th century that mankind was able to be put into space, but many believe it was much sooner. Old manuscripts from the Sibiu rocket launch during 1555 were kept completely secret and kept in places where no one would find them. In 1961, a professor at the University of Bucharest stumbled upon these documents that shows designs of a complex rocket. It contained 450 pages of detailed descriptions of a rocket that was fired into space from the city of Sibiu, Romania, in front of thousands of witnesses. Mankind has made some exceptional advancements in technology during the Renaissance, but could a spaceship be one of them? The manuscript is currently being held at the Sibiu Museum in Romania, if you want to take a look for yourself. Number 7. The Sarmi Zezajusa hexagon. This ancient bronze matrix is over 2,000 years old and is an extremely important piece of archaeology. This was found after a storm had hit the Sarmi Zezajusa area in western Romania. This bronze mold weighs about 20 pounds and was believed to have been used to construct decorative pieces made of precious metals. Animals like wolves, lions, and vultures are carefully crafted on this object, and it seems to have been extremely advanced for this period of time. This small village is really more of an archaeological dig site now, and they're hoping they can find more mysterious pieces like this one. Number 6. The Baciu Forest. Also known as the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania, this forest is claimed to be haunted to an extreme level. Locals won't even dare to enter this mysterious place, claiming that it gives them feelings of anxiety, nausea, vomiting, headaches, and the strange feeling of always being watched. There's also something that's just not right about the vegetation. Some patches of trees just seem to be missing. Even the most skeptical people have trouble denying that there's something wrong about this place once they've entered. People have often reported seeing strange shapes and colors, bizarre shadows, and hearing voices. Some claim it to be a gateway between the world of the living and the dark underworld. The strange-shaped trees and the weird charring of the tree stumps don't seem to help people feel at ease. One strange story goes that a shepherd entered the forest with 200 sheep and was never seen again. It was also featured on an episode of Ghost Adventures. Number 5. The Wedge of Aiud. This wedge was found during a construction project in Aiud, Romania, and seems to be an extremely out-of-place artifact that has made many people scratch their heads. It weighs about 4 to 5 pounds and was discovered next to the jawbone of 2 mastodons and 35 feet of sand. Since it was on the same layer of sand as the mastodons, people believe the wedge is about 11,000 years old, or possibly older. What makes this object even more mysterious is that it's made of aluminum. No one ever really had used aluminum effectively until 1825, and it takes a great deal of heat in order for it to be melted down. Others believe that this was part of a bigger tool that could have possibly been used by extraterrestrials or some advanced civilization who had the proper complex tools to melt aluminum. Others certainly believe that it was just a well-executed hoax by the construction workers. What do you believe? Number 4. The Buzău Mountains Mystery. The Buzău Mountains are a beautiful place to see in Romania, but by no means does that make them not mysterious. If you dare to walk through the mountains here, you may come across these strange cave complexes. What's strange about this place is that the caves contain a mysterious language carved on the walls that no one is quite able to decipher. Some believe these carvings came from the Luana kingdom, which is little known about. Tales of this civilization and the people that lived in its kingdom say they had access to magical water that could heal anyone. Could this be their language written down on the wall? Others simply believe that it's from Christian missionaries who settled on Romanian land around 300 AD, but it still remains a mystery who exactly wrote it. Number 3. 36,000-year-old footprints. How long exactly have people been living in this mysterious land? Archaeological discoveries seem to prove the existence of a family of 6 or 7 individuals with at least one child living in the caves of the Carpathian Mountains. Could these have possibly been some of Europe's first inhabitants as well? Radiocarbon dating of 2 bare fossils below the footprints suggests that they were indeed 36,000 years old. How these footprints were able to survive the test of time is still somewhat of a mystery. Here in this photo, you see some bear scratchings, proving humans weren't the only ones to inhabit these caves. The findings were sufficient enough to be documented into a peer-reviewed journal. Who exactly were the mysterious people to once live here, and where did they go? The timeline seems to put them as some of the earliest Homo sapiens, but further research is needed. Number 2. Where is Dracula's tomb? People who are fascinated with Romania's history are often intrigued with Count Dracula. The vampire we know from movies is a fictional character, but the real person he was named after, also known as Vlad the Impaler, actually did have a taste for blood. He was born in 1431 in the city of Sighisoara, Romania. Here in this photo, you see this ordinary house in the central region of Transylvania. He actually didn't suck the blood from his victims, but he was known to dip bread into buckets of blood from the people he impaled, and would eat a meal while watching the victims be executed. The search for the grave of Dracula has remained a mystery that's bothered many people. Some claim he was buried in the Snagov Monastery on an island near the capital of Bucharest. When people came across it in 1930, it appeared as though he was no longer there, possibly moving on his own. People still come to the altar at his monastery to pay their respects. Others claim he was buried in Naples, Italy, but this was quickly debunked. Historians believe he was beheaded by an Ottoman assassin, and as a cruel twist of irony, he had his head impaled on a stake. Afterwards, it was preserved in honey and presented to the Sultan. Hard to come back to life after that. His final resting place is still unknown. Number 1. Mystery of Dracula's True Castle. Vampire lovers from all around the world flock to Bran Castle in Transylvania. This is extremely popular for 500,000 people per year who visit it. This picturesque fortress is positioned on top of a cliff in Brasov County. But the true mystery about this place is that people still aren't really too sure if Vlad the Impaler even lived here. Historians know the true residence was at Ponari, on a remote cliff top that's much less easy to access. It's also not as great looking. He even constructed a different palace/fortress to defend against the Ottomans later on in his life. Many tourists are tricked into believing that he resided at Bran Castle, when the reality is that he might have just visited here a couple times. It would also be extremely difficult for tourists to access the real lair of Dracula that requires a massive hike. Nonetheless, it's still a pretty creepy place to go to when you take a look at some of the artwork and the armor on the walls. Did Vlad the Impaler eat blood-soaked bread at this table in Bran Castle? What other gruesome atrocities he possibly committed at his residence in Ponari is still quite puzzling.